two use cases combined into one. And here's an example. You can say, hey, Copilot, I have a meeting with Jason on Friday or with David on Friday. I would like you to help prepare me for that meeting based on conversations and documents that I've exchanged with Jason. That's preparing you for a meeting. Or you could say, hey, Copilot, I only have 5 minutes before my next meeting. Please provide me with talking points to help prepare me for that meeting. That's all covered under preparing you for a meeting. Automated agenda preparation involves a Copilot. I want to schedule a meeting with somebody and go ahead and help generate agenda topics for me, and Copilot can go ahead and do that. Douglas, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, so where does Copilot get that data? I understand that if it's new on my emails from Jason, or let's say Jason, I'm writing to Jason, that it could look for my emails and or if I had some sort of, but it can't get my phone conversations or anything like that. Where does Copilot get the data?
That's a very good point, and that is actually something we covered during the training. It gets it from your Microsoft Graph, and then people say, what is my Microsoft Graph? Which is why we cover all of this during the training. To answer your question, it gets it from your Microsoft Graph.
And it's great, I mean, Linux form, because it's basically the analysis, it does the analysis of the data that you have access to, right? So if you have access to, like, your OneDrive content in there, emails, their PowerPoints you may have created, meetings you may have attended that were recorded, right? So they have access to this recording. Now, there might be sites that might be blocked from Copilot to access, and which is what the compliance officers, security officers will review and do that setup. But beyond that, essentially, it do the analysis and develop the inferences based on the data that you already have access to.
So my understanding then is that if Copilot has access, I have to give access to all my emails and maybe my unbox.
You don't have to give. It assumes the access if you already have the access. You don't have to.
When I somehow install Copilot, it gives all the access I have.
So you don't install Copilot. It's a capability that gets enabled. So you're not installing per se anything. It just
I enable Copilot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a little scary. You know that?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you're having an assistant and you want an assistant to schedule a meeting, and the assistant cannot schedule a meeting unless you give the any type of information to the assistant.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, Ruby. Go for it.
Sure. All right. So we have one use case that combines two use cases. Automated agenda preparation, which also includes the flexibility for you to tell Copilot actually schedule the meeting. That's one of those that are covered under automated agenda preparation. The next set of use cases captured under during a meeting. So, for example, if you were to join a meeting late, you can say, do a quick recap of this meeting. You can also ask questions about the meeting. For example, you could say, what action items have been discussed? Is there anything assigned to me? So that's asking questions about the meeting or chat. Now, knowing faculty, if this audience believes that asking questions about a meeting or chat should be prioritized, like priority number one, then when we do the prioritization in a few minutes, you can prioritize this as number one. And then when we do the training, we will actually show you how to leverage Copilot to ask questions about a meeting or chat. Not just the basics, we also show you best practices and things that you might not be aware of. Okay. Language translation is another one. You can have Copilot translate something from English to Spanish to French to up to, I think, 30 to 50 different languages. So some departments say, yes, that's a priority. Others say, not really. So when you guys do the prioritization, you can move this up and down based on your understanding of faculty. Collaborative brainstorming has to do with whiteboard. Some organizations use that, some do not. So when we start doing the prioritization, you guys can better determine how to prioritize that use case. After the meeting, you can have Copilot summarize, provide a recap, provide action items. You can also do additional things when it comes to using Copilot after the meeting. So for example, hey Copilot, in addition to the action items, what are the next steps? Or hey Copilot, provide me with a summary of the meeting's key points, right? You can do all of those. So we have these 7 use cases. Next, what I'm gonna do is send you this video mental meter for our polling. So here is the link. Or you can go to menti.com and you can enter this code. So here's, when you get there, you will see this. It will say waiting for presentation to start. So it's waiting for me to click on something which I haven't clicked yet. Let me just show you guys something very quickly. On this right side, you will see the use cases that we just went over. And the way to prioritize, for example, you might say, recap a meeting is for you priority number 1, or meeting summary is priority number 1. So that's basically how you do the prioritization. So on that note, let me click on present.
It's laughing.
No, it's not.
Okay, so now this is what you all will be seeing on your screen. So on the left, it shows you the list based on the way they were entered into the survey that we're doing right now. But on the right is where you can actually do your prioritization. So we will give you 2 to 3 minutes to take your time and then do your prioritization. And then when you're done, hit submit down here.
Between recap a meeting and meeting summary and notes. What's the difference between recap a meeting versus meeting summary and notes? Talking.
I think you're on mute, Obi.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, recap a meeting or chat is when you join the meeting. So let's say you join a meeting late, so it's during the meeting. Meeting summary and notes is after the meeting, you can actually go back and have a summary of the meeting and notes. So if you look down here, see where it says after a meeting summary, Copilot can generate a meeting recap.
Ovi, just while the folks are doing this, I have a question for you. Would you cover some point of time if there are scenarios that are not listed there, but the folks might be interested in?
Later on today, we will have an exercise later on today as part of this call where we actually would like them to provide us with potential use cases that are not covered here.
Good.
And I have a question about the agenda. So where does the created agenda show up?
Oh,
So when
it
Copilot
shows up.
created agenda, will it be, say, is it saved as a Word document or?
That's a good one, and in a way, I'm going to
actually let me take that. So let's say what happens that you setting up a meeting, right? So in the Outlook, you set up a meeting. In the meeting, in the body of the meeting, it will Copilot icon will be there, saying that do you want me to create the agenda? And you can just provide some basic information. Yeah, I want an agenda for a discussion on this topic over the lunch or whatever. And then it's gonna based on your style and the emails, whatever access the Copilot has, it will create like a 3 or 4 and a 4-point agenda. Then it will show you on the window and say, hey, yeah, I like it. So you can keep it, click the keep it button, or discard it, and you can provide more feedback as to like fine tune it. You can keep it posts it into the body of the window, and then you can tweak it on top of it if you want to further tweak it. So it kind of gives you a good starting point.
I see. And can it also email after creating the agenda to?
Oh,
absolutely. Yes.
Yes. And once again, we will cover this during the training, but let me just give you guys a quick preview. So yesterday I actually delivered a similar extended training to a different client, and I used my demo Outlook, which is what you guys are looking at here. It's really a demo information. And I said, hey, Copilot, create a new meeting with Jane for this Friday at 4 p.m. And Copilot created that, and then it gave me the option to send. So you already did that yesterday, which is why this is grayed out. Okay. And then he said, after I clicked on send, he said, I've sent your meeting invitation to Jen. He actually did that, sent out the email on my behalf. I could also say, create an agenda for a meeting I will have with Sarah. Okay, and then it will go over and then provide and then create that agenda. Right now it's saying sorry. That's because I haven't set up the use cases. I already used all of these use cases yesterday, which is why it's giving me this response. But basically, yes, you can create the agenda using Copilot. It will provide that information here. You could say, provide me with talking points to prepare me for that meeting. So a lot of that interaction actually happens within Outlook. You can also use your Copilot browser, Copilot app for a lot of this information. Okay. Okay. And as you can, let me come back here. Looking at my history of the things I was telling Copilot to do during training, you will notice there's a lot of create an agenda because people are asking about how do I use Copilot to actually do that. All right. So I believe we have enough responses so far. So let me take a screenshot. Okay, so this is what we have. Meeting summary and notes after the meeting is prioritized as number one. Doing a recap of the meeting or chat if you join late is priority number two. Asking questions about a meeting or chat, priority number three. So we will look at this when putting together that training to ensure that one of the first topics we provide training on is this one here. Okay, moving on to the next scenario. This is also broken into three sections, the swim lanes. And for the first one, create and transform, you can actually open a blank Microsoft Word or PowerPoint and enter a prompt to say, hey, Copilot, for example, Copilot, provide a policy in using generative AI for the University of Miami faculty, and Copilot will literally generate that information. It normally takes hours or days, and Copilot can actually do it within minutes. You could have a meeting and you need to prepare a PowerPoint, and you can say, hey, Copilot, prepare a PowerPoint, 40 slides, 20 slides for my meeting with Jason this Friday, and Copilot can do that. So that's this create first draft. The other one is you can take a policy and say, hey, Copilot, take the content from this policy document and create a deck so I can present to leadership. That's transform text into a presentation. For organize and analyze, we have four use cases here. One is you have an existing document and you say, hey, Copilot, I need you to add more context. Or you might have a long PDF document or a long Microsoft Word document. You all have received such long documents. It could be 50 pages long. And you say, hey, Copilot, summarize this document and just give me the key points. Summarizing longer text also involves not necessarily documents, but messages that you get in or emails that you get in, having Copilot summarize those. Asking questions about the document content. We've had use cases where champions would say, my organization or department, we often receive forms from our third-party vendors. Is it possible to have Copilot review each form and let us know if we are missing, if the vendor that completed that form failed to complete a section within that document? And we show them how to do that. That was a unique, use case. So that has to do with asking questions about a document. You could also say, here are two documents, two Excel documents. Hey, Copilot, tell me what has changed between these two documents. Revise and refine, you might look at an existing content and you say, hey, Copilot, I would like you to redo this entire document, that's edit, and then extract next steps, where you might be looking at a 50-page document and say, just show me the next steps, and so I can paste that onto OneNote. Okay, so those are the 8 use cases. So now let me go ahead and present. The next section. So when you come back here, now you will see content generation, the 8 use cases we just went over, and then on the right, you can actually do your own prioritization.
There's the Japanese. This one teaches I think chemistry. There's that. Through the medical school. So there's another one that I can learn about computer. But there's also one there from music.
Which one?
Lecture effect. There's a lot of people in there. And this guy, you see this woman is Jose,
Yeah.
and we,
It's from the medical school.
he's the one who told him, and he's here, and this is that we were talking to him about it. So, this is you understand?
All right, would you like one more minute or should we continue? Continue? Okay. All right, let me take a screenshot.
See, I have to take a screenshot. Oh, it's not even integrated to Copilot.
All right, so transform existing text into presentation. That's rated the highest out of this set of use cases. Create first drafts is number 2, edit content formatting number 3. Perfect. Okay. Now we will cover the finer scenario as part of the out-of-the-box use cases, and then we will discuss any additional use case that you guys would like to volunteer. For this one, similarly to what we've done with the other 2 scenarios, we have this broken into 3 sections. The first one is to have Copilot write a new email for you. For example, I would like to send, I've been assigned the responsibility of sending out an email to all faculty to discuss the policy for using generative AI and Copilot. Draft that email for me, and Copilot will draft that email for you. Or replying to an email. As those of you that already have your Copilot licenses activated, whenever you go to Outlook and you received an email, you will notice on the reply, Copilot will give you suggestions, and you can have Copilot actually reply. Obviously, Copilot is called Copilot, not autopilot, meaning that whatever it is it generates, it is still your responsibility to review before you hit send. Okay? So that's one use case. For asking key questions, you can have Copilot review a chain of emails. A lot of you have been included in email chains that have been going back and forth, and you might not really have had time to read each one, or you might be coming back from vacation, in which case you can say, hey, Copilot, give me a summary of this email chain. And you can also ask additional questions. For example, you could say, are there any action items, as well as other things that we can show you during training that are surrounding generating a summary. You can also say, hey, Copilot, I just came back from vacation, and tell me what I missed out of the different emails that I've received over the last week or 2 when I was out of the office. Okay, so that's what this is, Q&A and ideas generation in chat. You can do that. Search for important information is also another one that is covered under Q&A and ideas generation in chat. There are different ways you can do this. For example, you can do this within Outlook. You can do this within Teams. You can also do this within using your Copilot application. And we're going to go over all of those during training if you guys prioritize that. This final batch I really covered under OneNote. A lot of individuals that use OneNote, they have tabs, so many tabs with so many different notes within them. And sometimes it is, more than sometimes, it is very easy to get overwhelmed with all of your notes. And you can just very quickly have Copilot do a summary. You can say, okay, based on that summary, create a to-do so I can go talk to Jason, I can go talk to others to discuss those. And there will be points where you say, hey, Copilot, just inspire me. And Copilot will come up with something. And we'll go over that. And, really all of these are covered under create to-do, a list, as well as summarize. So those are the 6 use cases. And let me go ahead and click on present. So now we're going to come here, the same link. And I'm going to click on present to activate the prioritization. So now all of you will be seeing this view, and then you can do your prioritization on the right. It looks like you guys have been much faster this time around. Now you have a hang of, this prioritization. I believe everyone has done their prioritization, so let me go ahead and take a screenshot. Let's see. Okay, so create to-do lists. Priority number 1 under this scenario, and then drafting new emails, getting coaching on getting coaching on a new email. That is, I didn't mention that, but let me provide a little bit more context. A lot of us over our career, however long that has been, have run into a situation where you are part of an email chain and somebody says something, maybe throw you under the bus, and you react, you hit reply, everybody sees it, and you just really, you respond with the heat of the moment, okay? And you wake up in the morning the next day and you say, wow, I shouldn't have sent that email. Okay, we've all been there. That's coaching. You can say, hey, Copilot, before I send this email, review it and coach me on it. And in this particular use case, it will come back and say, your tone is a little bit too aggressive. Here's how you can actually tone it down. That's an example of coaching. Okay. All right, so now we go on to the final segment of today's session, which is to gather any additional use cases, maybe 2 or 3 challenges that faculty runs into. And one thing to highlight is the use case that you provide has to be centered around using Outlook, using PowerPoint, using Word, Excel, Teams, or OneNote. Okay. And here are some examples. So we met with University of Miami IT and support staff and received feedback in regards to challenges that they run into. And here is one of them. People, not just IT and support, people across faculty, they're swamped with meetings, with activities that they do, literally back to back all day long. Others say, oh, we spend too much time managing emails, especially long chains. And others say, hey, I spend a lot of time creating PowerPoints, and so how can Copilot make my life easier? Here's another round of examples. This is from the perspective of a consultant, a generic consultant. Consultants normally say, onboarding really is a difficult thing, so many videos and resources. Others say I often have to estimate impacts very quickly. And then other times people say why they're on Teams call, they need answers very quickly and they don't have time to go search for those. So these are really just examples. What we'd like to do now is gather your challenges, and you can enter those. We'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to think about what those challenges are. And one thing I would like to emphasize is it's not just your challenges, right? It's not just you, Richard, and you, Douglas, your challenge. It's really knowing faculty, what challenges do they run into on a regular basis? Okay. So if you can think about that and then enter that into the meeting chat.
Microphone became so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly, Mary, what would be an example of a use case for incorporating Copilot into teaching? Like, for example, would you say using Copilot to help me set my teaching agenda for the next 4 weeks, something like that? Go ahead and enter that. So use cases.
I'm not allowed to eat this more costumes than if you can
Okay, Mary, I know you are on mute, but the comments that you entered into the chat, does this capture that use cases for incorporating Copilot into teaching and course delivery?
Yes, I'll reach out to Professor Law as it was recommended and see if I can get further information.
Mary, I'm actually attending that very workshop right now. It's basically creating some works for the teaching aids, and it's very enlightening. I highly recommend it. From your question, that's the one I thought you were looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So in a way, we have one main one here, which is this letter writing documents for students applying to programs. And maybe we can have one other high-level use case for how faculty can incorporate Copilot into teaching, just something quick. And it analyze test questions. Okay, so that's a good question. Let's go ahead and answer that.
The microphone goes over shift.
No, it doesn't.
If there are any other questions about Copilot or challenges, we can include that to this list specifically because there are some things that out of the box Copilot cannot do, but there is also what we call extensibility that we normally provide to clients and customers that require additional conversations, but we can actually build some configurations to allow Copilot to do some things that it might not do out of the box. That's another good question. Can it make receive calls like 1-800 ChatGPT?
What do you want to say? Tell me what you
Like 640 closely. Like 640 dash call dash save. Click submit.
Capture one more. Does anybody else have any other question or use case request that we can include here? All right. That's a good one. So let me go ahead and enter that here. All right, perfect. So we've captured these additional questions / use cases. The reason why it's important for us to capture these types of questions you guys are asking has to do with that extensibility that I mentioned earlier, in that those things they cannot do out of the box. We can obviously discuss with your leadership to say, hey, the champions are asking questions about this. It is not out of the box, but we can actually create an extensibility to help the University of Miami address these types of questions. So if anything else comes to your mind after today's session, please don't hesitate to email us that question or that request for use case. Okay? All right, now that brings us to our next steps, which is the first one is that training session that will be scheduled for next week. If you are able to join, we totally understand it's spring break, and some of you will not be able to join. we will record the session, but when there is nobody on the call, we will record the session, but we do hope that at least one of you is available next week to join.
Right.
This second point here is another area where, so at the beginning of this call, I said there are two areas where we need your help. One of them is really this prioritization exercise that we just did. The second one really is, if you are hearing feedback, if people are running into challenges when this has been rolled out, people are running into challenges, you're hearing about those, please pass that information over to Jason, pass that information over to the change team for them to provide that information to the Microsoft team so we can help address and mitigate any resistance that might be coming up across the faculty department. We will also send out a survey in a few weeks' time. We totally understand there is always survey fatigue. Every organization that I've delivered change management for, they've all talked about survey fatigue. But in this particular case, we will love to also send out the survey because that is how we track user experience with using Copilot. So please, if you don't mind taking a few minutes when you receive that survey to please fill it out. And it's not just challenges or resistance, feedback that you can provide. Success stories is also another one. So you're using Copilot and you identify a really awesome way in which you've used it as a faculty member. You can pass that information to Jason or to other champions also. Jason, I believe there's going to be a champion network teams channel that will be created. Or no?
We can definitely do that. I'll talk to Ash about that.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
Understood. Okay. So if that is the case, if that team's channel is created, champions can actually talk amongst themselves. They can say, hey, here's a lesson learned that I identified, or here are challenges that I'm running into. So that's what this covers, share success stories. And that really brings us to the end of today's session. Any questions, any feedback?
Hey, this is Rick. So I am mostly encountering AI used by our students in Grammarly. And mostly these are students who speak English as a second language and are uncomfortable writing in English.
We need to buy more beans.
Yeah, I will. Next time I go.
You just muted yourself.
Yeah.
Well, so I have two devices on and I was getting an echo. That's why I did that. But okay. So what we're saying is that our students who speak English as a second language are using AI assist tools like Grammarly in order to create essays, answer exam questions, and stuff like that. And I've been using GPT-0 to try to root out folks who are using AI for generative AI because I want to see their thoughts, not the thoughts collected from the great abyss. So that last comment I threw up for things to consider, for me at least, and the people that I've talked to through the ACAC, is that that's a high priority.
What?
Spelling students.
No,
That's my feedback.
Second language students shouldn't use grammar.
Understood. Thank you very much for that. So we will make a note of that when having conversations with stakeholders and leadership. We will want to emphasize that this has been brought to our attention as a priority for faculty. So thank you. Okay. Douglas, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
So the question that I was going to write, but I want to ask: can we use Copilot in a course for computation analysis, so in fact for writing scripts, or modifying scripts, or anything like that?
Those will be recorded sessions where you do record and transcribe.
I guess my question was, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes.
Yes, so I don't know if my question was, the question is will Copilot help me rewrite scripts for computational analysis in a course or something like that?
To compute, did you say computational? Computational analysis?
Yeah, so rewriting scripts. So, for example, that if I use a Python script that has an error in it, can Copilot help me and or my students to rewrite it so to get rid of the errors?
Who's asking that?
I think we may have to try some of those as a sample to see. The reason I'm saying try because there is a Copilot for GitHub, so I don't know if that would be a better suited option for you versus what we'll be doing. But well, let's try. I mean, if you have some
Yes, no,
samples, we can try once you have the access.
You could see some Indian understanding of the other one.
Indeed. Okay, perfect. So I see we are out of time, and I would like to say a big thank you to everyone for joining today's session. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.
He put it in.
Do we have a time for the training next week?
Jason?
Yes, it is. Excuse me. It is next week, Wednesday again, from 10 to 11:30, and then we'll do another one from 1 to 2:30. They're 90 minutes because people can come in and as they can, and we can try to fit more in for the recording. So if you can't make the whole time, we understand that completely.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye
Bye-bye.
for now.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Did they read the question that we gave
Yeah.
them? Leave it on. Maybe some of them will remain to discuss on it. No? How do you know?
I know. Recording was stopped. It's all left. Everybody left.
Yeah.
Waiting for others to join. Okay? Meetings are just one tool in our belt.
Meeting went to what?
It says meetings are just one tool in our belt. That was
Did you shut MSN recorder?
not yet. It was a waste.
Yeah.
But they put my question in with call Sam too, as pending issues. So you got the idea, they have no idea. Any of them. But the problem is that they realized they were gonna put in Copilot, give everybody Copilot. They were gonna do that already in December.
And nobody wants to use it.
Nobody knows how to use it, nobody wants to use it, and you know what I'm saying? And everybody is familiar with ChatGPT, and that's it. And what is a pain in the butt is it requires you to use Office, and you have to use Teams.
Yeah.
In my department, nobody uses Teams. And every meeting I go to, everybody uses Zoom. There isn't one person that doesn't use Zoom. So the only thing it can help is, and it's interesting, I didn't want to say anything, but they're allowing it to do the same things that they're disallowing Zoom to do, with the summaries and all that stuff, but I don't want to say anything, because at least I get the summary, what do I need the other part? You know what I mean?
The next thing they will start
Bothering me again, and taking that out, we have to look at that, you know what I mean? Let me find it. But it's good. I went, you know